Welcome back to Studio B. This is your BYU Sports Play-by-Play. I'm Spencer Linton alongside Jerem Jordan. Now joining us on the Deseret First Credit Union hotline is NFL film analyst and a guy who knows the game oh so well, Alex Rollins.
Oh,
Alex,
rocking the Mets hat.
Okay.
He's getting ready for Thursday.
Now, are you projecting something there by wearing the Mets hat that Zach Wilson's going to go to the New York Jets, Alex?
Hey, I won't confirm or deny that the Jets have paid me to wear this hat, so we'll just leave it at that, guys.
What did you learn from Zach Wilson's pro day that you maybe didn't already know about him?
Yeah, I mean, I don't put too much into pro days. I think I'm looking more for a floor rather than a ceiling. You know, you just want to make sure the guy gets out there and looks good and whatnot. But, that main highlight that we all saw where he's rolling to his left and he just unleashes that, 40 to 50 to 60-yard bomb like we see so much on film. So it's not a surprise in that area, but I mean, just an unbelievable talent that we already know, and that NFL teams, of course, already know. But I can't really stress enough how ridiculous it is to just completely disassociate the top half from the lower half. None of the momentum he has from his lower base while he's throwing all the way back across his body. I mean, I think the teams in the top five got pretty excited with that one.
Now, you produced a video on YouTube where you break down Zach at length. I thought it was great. Will you give BYU fans that are watching this and listening to this a taste of the deep evaluation you did of Zach Wilson?
Yeah, so, I use the coach's film, the All-22, and I think that really gives us a better angle and a better view of what to look for with a prospect, how they're reading things, how they're reading the safeties, how they're reading the coverages. And, what you see with Zach, I mean, it's really incredible. His plus arm strength just jumps off the film. His accuracy is incredible. In my breakdown, I really talked about how he attacks nap defenders. And what that is non-aggressive players on defense. So the moment Zach sees a defender with their back turned, he is just gunning it down the field no matter what. And he, we'll talk a bit in, it's kind of the scheme fit and where he's looking at these top three and whatnot. But, in these play action heavy schemes, if you add an element of somebody, let's say he goes to the Jets and he has a Denzel Mims, if he can hit those jump balls as well and really get some of those going and get some more aggressive downfield stuff going in addition to the scheme that the Jets already have, it's going to be incredible. And it really unlocks a lot of the potential in their offense. So, some really exciting stuff if you're drafting Zach Wilson.
NFL film analyst Alex Rollins with us on BYU Sports Nation. Let's attack that angle and the idea of Zach Wilson going to the New York Jets, because after Jerem and I just discussed, we think the best fit on paper and just logically feels like it's with Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco, but I don't want to entirely write off the Jets. So why do you think Zach Wilson could potentially work in New York, and what are the weapons around him if he indeed does end up in New York?
Yeah, what I think is so interesting about this draft is really the teams 2, 3, and 4, the Jets, 49ers, and Falcons, all really have the same system at this point. The Jets, very 49ers based with the new regime, 49ers, of course, and then the Falcons with Arthur Smith are all really kind of running the wide zone play action boot offense. And what really jumps out to me is that that's what BYU ran this year. They exploded in terms of play action. They ran it at one of the highest rates in the country. And, that is when you can see those things on film already in college, it's really easy to say, okay, this is what this guy can do in this scheme because we're already watching him do it. And the fact that Zach Wilson exploded in this offense, this was his big year, and it was because they really leaned into this style of offense is what makes him so enticing. So in terms of the Jets, I think it'll be a little more of a transition for them just because, they haven't really necessarily been drafting the personnel for this system, whereas the Niners have been for, the 5 or 6 years of that Shanahan's been there and Lynch has been there and whatnot. So actually, even before the trade, I really liked him in the Shanahan offense because Shanahan's just been building that system for so long. But, the thing about this offense is, even if it's not Shanahan, it's going to create a lot of open throws. So, when you play action boot to the left and then come back to the right, oftentimes there will be somebody sliding into that flat to the right who is wide open, and there are those yards after catch opportunities. But where somebody with Zach Wilson's talent can really stretch those things is he can hit the deep post. He can hit, the post wheel to the sideline. He can really extend the defense and stretch it deep and horizontally to where you really have to defend every part of it. Whereas, I'm not going to say that Jimmy G isn't capable of running this offense, but there are some question marks there in terms of the 49ers. And you see him, he is comfortable hitting those easier throws, but he's not always pushing the envelope. And there are times where he's not going to attack the nap defender, the non-aggressive guy. And so Wilson really builds on what these offenses can do, which is already a lot, but he can take it to the next level, and he can really attack what Shanahan or LaFleur in New York is really providing, and really stretching to new limits, honestly, is what makes him so exciting.
Alex, in your video as well, you talk about some of the things Zach struggles with a little bit or needs to improve. One of those was a little bit of footwork. Talk about where you think maybe some of the flaws are that he'll need to work on as he gets into the NFL. Yeah,
so, one thing with BYU, with the play action boot scheme that we're talking about, that creates a lot of, there's a lot of space for the quarterback to run. So you don't really necessarily see him in NFL or, quality pockets a lot. And that plays to Wilson's strengths, of course, because he is so good at throwing on the run. But, I broke down the Niners extensively last year. So I was really week by week focusing on them up until the Super Bowl. And what really comes back to bite these offenses, and it happened with Jared Goff in the Super Bowl against the Patriots a couple years back too. If they're down or they just, third and long, they need to execute these drop back, more NFL style schemes. And I think that's kind of where we see Zach's not struggle, but he just needs a lot of work in that area. So, there are a lot of plays where his footwork isn't necessarily lined up with where the receiver is running. So, let's say on quick game, a 3-step drop has to line up, you have quicker routes, right? So that's going to be a slant. That's going to be, a quick hitch or something like that. And then 5-step, it's intermediate, and 7-step, it's a deep ball. So we don't necessarily see Zach, his footwork doesn't necessarily look like it's detailed to the point where it's really matching up with those routes, and that he's comfortable repeating that again and again and again. Now, I do think that's something, there are things where you worry more so when you see in college that need to be improved in the NFL. And that's something I don't think I'd be worried so much about. It's something he needs to work on a lot, but that's why we have NFL coaching. So certainly that there are some issues of his ability to see over the middle of the field. So there are several examples, we saw more so when we was running the play action stuff at BYU, it was kind of more the boot stuff outside, whereas Shanahan also has an element that I didn't see BYU run too often. So it's not that Wilson didn't do this, they just didn't run it too often, where it's a quick, right when you play action fake, you whip your head around and there's a quick post. They call it a drift route that's breaking right behind the linebackers who are sucked up from play action. And Zach, sometimes on the other play action type schemes, he didn't really, he kind of missed some reads over the middle. So that's definitely something that I'd like to see cleaned up and just executed more of. And that would really help unlock even more of these Jets, 49ers, Falcons schemes that we'd see at the next level.
Alex Rollins, NFL film analyst on BYU Sports Nation. Let's take that idea a step further. True or false, Alex, Zach Wilson is ready to play in the NFL right now?
Yeah, I mean, based on what I said, I talked about in my episode, I think he does have the highest ceiling of these quarterbacks in this class. But right now, without these footwork fixes or, improvements, I don't know if right now, I think with the right coaching staff if he goes through training camp and he is improving and working hard, I do think he could play the first week. And I would imagine if he got drafted with the Jets, which is very likely, in my opinion, that he will be starting week 1. So I think he needs a lot of improvement, but I think it definitely could happen.
All right, Alex. Obviously, you spent a lot of time breaking down film, not just with Zach Wilson, but of a lot of NFL guys. Where can BYU fans and football fans in general find more of your work?
Yeah, so if you go YouTube, Alex Rollins NFL, that's where all my breakdowns are. Been doing this for about 2 years, and I have all the major quarterbacks scouted and on my channel right now. So if you want to check out, kind of compare these guys, then all my work's right there. So
great stuff, Alex. We appreciate the insight, man. Thanks for joining us.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.